Welcome to the new Overlords Podcast, where we talk about video games. I'm Max, and with me, as always, is someone who needs no arachnophobia mode, my co-host, Sema. Hello there, Sema.
You know me so well. You're right. I don't need an arachnophobia mode.
And I wasn't clear, both because she's neither a spider, and she's also not afraid of spiders. So we don't need an arachnophobia mode to protect ourselves from Sema. Neither does
right.
Sema need to be protected from spiders.
That's right.
Yeah. We will talk. We've got another arachnophobia mode story in the podcast this week, and I'm continued to be fascinated by them. You probably saw it if you saw me on the social networks. I posted about it on Monday, I think. I think it's crazy.
I mean, they do have a thing in common. At least a lot of them do, and that thing is Microsoft.
Oh, okay. Good point. Good point. Microsoft at least is the publisher in a lot
and
of
I
those
don't.
cases.
I'm not saying I really believe that Microsoft has got a dog in this basket.
Maybe Satya Nadella is just terrified of spiders.
But I do.
You heard it here, folks.
I noticed it.
Satya Nadella is terrified of spiders. We are going to talk about a lot of fun things today. It's probably going to be just a full-on only news podcast because we're about mid-year, about halfway through 2024, and I was looking ahead to see what was coming, and it got me thinking about what are the interesting things that have happened this year so far and what still remains. I didn't go as far as, and maybe this is something that we'll sort of catch up on as a side segment, of predictions for what we expect the Game of the Year contestants to be. But in doing that research alone, I found there's a whole bunch of sort of the big games coming out still in the second half of the year that we can talk about today. So
it's been a fantastic year for that too. And I mean, the list goes on and on. This is not even everything.
Yeah, the hits just keep on coming. So let's check out what they are.
Good news, everyone!
First up in the timeline is a game that we've been talking about quite a bit every time we talk about what's coming soon. And that is, of course, Star Wars Outlaws. So Star Wars Outlaws will be live in just about a week and a half. And we will find out for sure whether or not it's going to be a great game or a terrible game, because that seems to be already decided by a whole bunch of people. Half the internet seems to already know for sure whether it's good or bad, which just amuses and exhausts me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to trying it out at least. So,
you know what I find one thing that's interesting about this game, or maybe I just haven't looked around the corners of the internet enough, but this one and a number of other games that have a female lead or a female protagonist, there's not a lot of, oh, how woke, we've got a girl, it's just sort of like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's becoming fine to have whatever character, because it was always fine.
Yeah. Yes, it was always fine.
There was right. a short amount of time, again, which is where I think a lot of these videos are coming from, and these articles and blog posts, is it's a moment where that becomes the hot clickbait, the hot take of the moment that gets you views. So for a little while, it was, ragging on, a female main character and complaining about it for whatever reason got you views. For good or for better, for worse, no publicity is bad publicity. So even if you're being a jerk about it, people would come watch it because you're the biggest jerk of the moment. But we always loved games with whatever main character, and people, it was never a problem. So it's continues to not be a problem. There's a little, they're trying to make, clickbait about this game, about the fact that the main character is not that she's a woman, but she's not attractive enough.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, which is stupid.
But I think part of what I was talking about also comes from the fact that a lot of people like to play female characters, period.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
as much about what you like looking at as it is about what you identify with.
And those articles have been written for decades now.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
MMO, when you get to create your own character, how many males and females, how many men and women, boys and girls are making a female main character anyway?
That's
They
right.
always were. Exactly.
Pretty sure there's more guys making girl characters than there are, females making male characters.
And there are more guys making girl characters than there are video game companies making female main character video games.
Right.
It's
Right.
not, I would argue
Yeah. So
you can have like
it's like
50% of all,
yeah.
of all male players are making female characters in their MMOs, but we don't yet have 50% of video game, actual
Right.
pre-crafted video game characters, main characters that are female.
But I
So
just
it's
I just
dumb.
make the connection because I think a lot of people are sort of used to it already because they already play female characters.
Yeah. The other thing is, hating things is not a personality. Everybody that's out there creating content, remember that for one.
Yeah. Right.
For two, if it's a game style that you don't like, it's not hardcore enough. We're not, you're not shooting enough things that, that's
Yeah,
okay.
man.
Then you don't
Yeah.
have to play it. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
your game.
Yeah. Be brave enough to just have your own opinions. Just say I don't like it. It doesn't have to be because this
Right. Exactly.
giant trigger.
I was thinking
thing.
hard about it, and I don't do these. I think up in my head the blog post or the tweet that I'm going to put out that's going to just like rip on all of those people. I never do. But the Star Wars, I thought of this. So here we go. Here's on Amazon the Star Wars Lego coloring book. And I was gonna post this and go, man, look at this garbage. They don't even stick to the lore. They're this, who do they think we are? Children? Because that's what they sound like. That's what you sound like when you go off on things that weren't necessarily made for you, and not everything Star Wars has to be. So.
You know what this makes me think
But that
of?
also doesn't mean it's good. Like, I thought Acolyte was mediocre even for what it was.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway.
It makes me think of when Bic pens, am I saying that right? Came out with a pen for women. There are a bunch of
Dumbest
fake
thing ever.
Amazon reviews about it.
Dumbest things ever. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's Star Wars Outlaws. We keep coming back to this, and I'm sure we will, because there will be fun things to talk about in the weeks to come. Star Wars Outlaws. Definitely a non-cozy game.
For sure. Oh my gosh, this one is brutal.
This
It's not the only one, too.
Yeah, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. And it is brutal, but in a way that fans of this genre and this IP have really
part of
been,
it.
Yeah.
waiting
for. It's weird because Warhammer IP is really diverse. It seems like the people who, the owners of the Warhammer trademark and copyrights and IP are fine to like give it to anybody, because you can find really weird Warhammer stuff, be like, a Warhammer cookie clicker, and fine, go, you can make that. I don't care.
Cookie clicker.
Yeah, which is whatever, like whatever weird mobile game, a tactical game, is
Yeah.
any kind of game they'll put a
Right.
Warhammer. This is like a AAA Warhammer game though that's coming out, and yeah, not for the faint of heart. It is gruesome and violent. First, you shoot the enemy, and then you walk up to it because it's not dead yet, and you chainsaw it in the face.
I mean, I couldn't take my eyes off his butt flap, though.
Yeah, you put that comment in there. I didn't go back to watch the video again. I couldn't take my eyes off his butt flap. Gonna have to clip
And then-
that for one. For two, you're right.
And I did the same thing I always do, is I think, what is that thing called? And I try to Google it, and I get a bunch of like references to different types of medieval armor and different things. But I know there's a word for that, but I still don't understand what it's for.
I
Like, is it to have a dish towel handy if you need to wipe your hands? I mean,
Does he have a front one too?
no. Well, I don't
Oh, I
know.
think I think there is a front one. It's really hard to see. But I think I
But I
see it
guess
flapping around in front too.
I guess the idea though, because a lot of armor in Star Wars: The Old Republic has that. I'm like, what is that supposed to be?
But a fabric one? I mean, not like I could see like a chainmail one because maybe you're
I
protecting your
can
hamstrings and
too.
glutes.
And actually, there are butt flaps you can buy that are for like when you ride the rails or something. It protects your butt and it protects your jeans from getting worn out by riding the rails. But anyway, yeah, no, there's a word for it. I found it one time, but I don't remember the word or how I found it. But yeah, no, there's a lot of armor in Star Wars. It doesn't have it in the front, just has that flap in the back.
Which in this case, he's wearing like a full body armor suit. It
Oh yeah,
provides it. It has no purpose except obviously cosmetic. He must love how that flap because I would think it would be a liability in a battle.
it soaks up the
It's
blood.
because
Maybe
it's just fabric. It's not
yeah,
even armor. Yeah,
right.
and it keeps getting splashed with blood. And if I'm an enemy and I'm fighting you, I'm gonna like dodge past you, grab your butt flap, and slam you to the ground
I mean, maybe.
because it's like flapping around out there.
I mean, the engine and the animation of its movement is really good. So maybe they're just like,
Yeah, maybe it's
we
a
need to take advantage of it. He's not going to wear a ball gown, but let's put something on him
it's
that
a
will flap in the
it's a
wind.
yeah, maybe it's like a developer thing. Ooh, look at our claw simulations.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, there's a lot of that. You know, Edna Mode says no capes, but our engine does capes
So
really, really good.
this
So
this right here is why I said we're going to go along on this one.
oh, because we're now, yeah, we said we're we're not gonna we're not gonna talk about games that we're not that interested in. Neither of us is gonna be playing this game, and now here we are talking for a half hour about a butt flap. All right, let's move on. Dead Rising, another interesting, interesting for a couple reasons because, and they even put this in the trailer. 2006, it was the original release. Then in 2016, we remastered it. And now we're remastering it harder in 2024.
Yeah.
So this was your comment after. Does it actually look better?
Yeah.
Did you put that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they
I
show
did.
it in the trailer there?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess
that's
they
it.
did.
And yeah, to me it's, and then when they show close, yeah, see that to me is uncanny valley as anything. So like the 2016 one, the faces maybe are not as high res, but I don't think they look as creepy.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
not.
and creepy is a strong word, but I mean, is it a huge improvement?
Or yeah, true. So what did 2006 to
Yeah, like
2024?
look at that look on his. Yeah, that's crazy.
So maybe this is one of those situations, and we're going to talk about this again when we get to Zelda, but maybe this is also just the opportunity to take a good game and reintroduce it to new audiences.
Yes, which I'm totally behind
Yeah,
that. I mean,
so
I'm all in on that. That concept. I don't I agree that it's a fantastic thing for a franchise to live on.
yeah. So we'll see. There's a lot of these zombie games. This is one of the the best of the history of zombie games. So introduce it to a new audience in a new way. Sure. Frostpunk 2. So I've kind of been watching this one out of the corner of my eye. It's a Polish studio, another one of the spin-offs of developers who had worked at CD Projekt Red and started their own studio. And this is the second iteration in this series. And it's kind of a city management, city builder. Post-apocalyptic. The world is in almost like an ice age. And you need to build, maintain, and manage your city so that the city can survive and the residents of the city are not going to die out. Pretty cool concept. I think they've put a lot of work into. One worked pretty well. It wasn't. It was a hit, but not a huge hit. I'll be interested to see where Frostpunk 2 goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost going to appeal to a different gamer than the first one because it's backing out and taking a bigger view. Like the first one was more, a handful of people
Mm-hmm.
surviving together and making a town. And this is like after they made the town and now they have bigger forces and they're making the city.
Yeah. And
So
so
it's all different issues. How do you help a city survive?
I like how, and I like these developers too. I like these guys, and
Yeah,
they're so
they're
Polish.
adorable.
My
Yeah.
heritage is shining through here. What are their names even? Jakub Stok Jakub Stokalski and I missed the other one, but these guys are great. But yeah, they
Yep, they
said
are.
specifically to your point, the idea of let's expand the city. Look how much we expanded it, and that provides all of this opportunity for um, expanding the gameplay and taking it in a new direction, which is really cool. Another fun studio story coming out, which I was kind of fascinated by. I haven't played Civilization in a long time, but Civilization is a good game. And I did hear Civ 6 is coming out in 2025. Galhard, I have to polish my Polish. It's been a long time. I had, I grew up with relatives. In fact, I had a great aunt that only spoke Polish. But it has been a long time since I actually tried to speak any Polish. You're right. I apologize unreservedly. Yeah, Civilization 6, I think, is coming in 2025. This game, History Untold, is a Civilization-like game made by a bunch of people who had worked on Civilization, spun off, and started their own studio. They seem, so it's Oxide Games. They seem pretty cool. They intercut this trailer that they've got out there. Oh, is it Civ 7 that's in 2025? Yeah, sorry, Civ 7 in 2025. Civ 6 must be out now. I don't know. It's been a while since I played Civilization, as I said. But yeah, a Civ-like game, and they wanted to put their own spin on it, and they had their own ideas for the way they wanted sort of things to work. And I think that's fine. I think there's always an opportunity for more in a genre. We don't have to say Civilization is out there, so no one should ever make a game like Civilization ever again. It does seem pretty Civ-like. They are certainly putting a lot of their own personality into it. And I also really like the way this trailer is cut, where it interspersed. Did you see this part of the trailer?
Yeah, where she's carrying the bassoon.
No, it's
Oh yeah, the
catching up
part
in a
where
second.
yeah,
Let me
yeah,
unmute.
right, the part with where he gets the That's beautifully done. Like if
And
they
while that red
if
tape
they
is there
Is
for
a
a
shepherd
reason,
tone
it
isn't
can
just
often
hold on.
does
All
tend
right.
There are multiple
really slow.
frequencies
What
being
is your
played,
status?
all separated by
if they plan this, they did it beautifully. So
See,
naturally.
I don't think they did. So I love these videos where the studio, they're like talking through it, and they're showing themselves, and they're showing team members, and they show it from inside their offices, so you get a glimpse of inside their offices. So here's the game director, who's in the middle of it, and I'll just show this for a second. Let's just play it.
Things that we purchased in order to add to the soundtrack and expand the game and make it really good. Hi, Dan.
So there he was. They're cutting this in their office, and I've had this happen before too when I've filmed things in offices. He's talking about like how they got all these instruments in the offices, and he's got a script, and they've got lights, and they've got a camera set up. Somebody like walks behind him. The creaky cooler grabs a drink. It turns out it's one of the founders of the company, and maybe it was a setup and a joke. If
It's
it
so well
was,
done. If it was, it seems so natural.
if it was, then it was excellent acting,
But
which makes me think it wasn't, because
Yes,
these
because
kind
these
of
are not
corporate
actors.
videos are not typically acted in that
But
way.
I just want to say, like, I agree with you. This is a great type of video. I think like every studio should do this for every game, whether they feel like it or not, because I probably would not have given are a second thought because I haven't played the Civ games, and this makes me interested. So it's going
Right.
to reach a person like me. But then you also need to do the other kinds of ads too. But
hmm
you definitely need to do that. There's two things I think every game should do. This, and they also should do what Baldur's Gate 3 does, where they periodically come out with this
Have bears
highly
having
edited.
sex with you?
Nope, where they have these highly edited PowerPoint videos where they show how many players did this and how many players did that.
Yeah, that's a fun thing.
I love those.
The stats.
Yeah,
In fact, they came out with a new one this week
I know.
of
That's what made me think of it.
how many people kissed what person, including in bear form or human form.
I
So
don't
look
think they
that up.
said kissed either.
Did they not? I thought the titles were the kissing stats, but probably
Maybe I
beyond
just
that
read
too.
and maybe I just read into it.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Wink's as good as a nod to a blind man. Bear sex. That's what Sema was looking up. Sema search history. No. Let's keep talking.
Yeah.
This next one is interesting and fun, especially if you're a Zelda, a Nintendo fan. That's what I was getting to. But it's a new Zelda game coming out, but it's a fun twist. So this was announced a while ago. This just SWTOR. It's set for October, so will be out this year. We've heard that this is coming out. It's been shown previews at a couple of the Gamescom and that kind of thing. But it's a Zelda game with Zelda. Surprise, surprise. So this has always been a meme. The little dude with the bow and the green hat is not Zelda.
Right.
So Zelda never gets to be the hero of the Zelda games until now. So it's a Zelda game.
And
And
Link,
I
it
can't
looks
say-
like he frees her with his last shot.
Yes, and then gets sucked off into some sort of void.
Purple, yeah. Because purple is the universal color for void.
Yes. So maybe he gets sucked into the war within, because that looks like the same void splotches that are in all over World of Warcraft. But yeah, so Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I don't expect to be playing a ton of this, but
Or any.
again, doesn't have to be a game for me.
Because you don't have a Switch.
But it's Switch. Yeah, it's Switch. It's launching on Switch to start, for one, and for two, it's it's like a little like a more old school Zelda game, which is cool. What is that? What is that you put there? What is
that's
that?
the
Is that the
original.
device that it came out on? I'll have to
That's
find
the
a bigger
original
picture of
game
that.
console. Yeah.
What was it
That it
called?
came-
I can't see that.
It was called a
The-
Famicom Disk System, and that's what Zelda originally came out on in Japan in 1986.
That is a
And then-
crazy looking device, isn't it?
And then very soon after, like even within like 1 year, I think it came out in the US on the NES.
Oh, look, it was like little 3.5-inch floppy disks. That's cool. So interesting. And what would
Yeah.
it plug into? A TV?
What else would
Yeah,
you have?
I guess it did. Yeah, wow. That's crazy.
What I was really going to look for was like a picture of Zelda herself in 1986 and now, but they weren't they weren't all that different.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
mean-
It does look like an
I mean,
old
they
school
were-
style.
They were
game.
8-bit versus, that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I like this picture better.
Also coming up, another game we've talked about a couple times that I am looking forward to. So trigger warning on the little bits of the trailer that I'm about to show.
Another brutal one.
Brutal.
Well,
brutal trailer. The trailer is much more brutal than the game is. I mean, there are brutal parts of the game, but you're typically like zoomed out. Third person view, way zoomed out. This is like really detailed, high res 4K cinematic, brutal trailer. Vessel of Hatred, Diablo 4. It's looking pretty interesting. It's part of the story that we've been wanting to follow up on, which is, I forgot what her name is, but she grabbed this shard and ran off with it to save us all, for the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. And either the shard or she is the Vessel of Hatred. So we're going to get a continuation of the story. We're going to find out if we're getting more of the demonic council and in our Diablo game. This shard of hatred is, I forgot who's in there. It's not Diablo. What's his name is in there?
I have no idea.
Chat room can help us out. Who's in this shard? But I did hear the point that it's the soul stone, not a shard. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Kephis. Kephis is in there. Probably along with Maleface, Marzipan. Somebody's in there, but Diablo is not in there. My point is, we have not yet gotten Diablo in our Diablo game. We might want to get a Diablo in the Diablo game before long, but we might have to wait till the next expansion because I don't think Diablo is going to be in this one either. So, which is Mephisto. Mephisto is in here.
Even if you're never going to play Diablo, it's worth it to watch this trailer. I mean, say what you will about Blizzard, they can make a trailer, man.
And they can make a game. So anybody who was like dishing on the Diablo 4 game was only doing that from the perspective of the gear grind wasn't fun enough. And because that's all we play games for, is only to grind the gear. It's an amazing cinematic experience. And it's only gotten better in them tuning things up in the seasons and the way things actually work. People are, all of the fans, especially the fans that actually like the game to start, continue to like the game. And a lot of people have come back to it, yada, yada, yada. But I loved the original campaign. It was great. I loved it. Was it, and I don't care about the gear grind. I'm not going to do, hell mode, would kill all the things mode to be the best of the best and get an achievement. I don't care. I played the campaign. I played all of the game and I liked it. So there you go. That is one, and I'm going to play this. I'm totally going to play this. I'm going to play the hell out of it. And I'll probably think even while I'm playing it that I'm totally going to get into it. I'm going to start even playing the seasons. I won't. I usually drop off after the fact, but I bet when I start playing it and we talk about it on the podcast, I'm going to say something like, I'm going to get into the next season. I'm going to roll a monk or whatever the thing of the day is, and I'm going to do a thing. So yeah. Another one that is on a lot of people's radar, not mine because I'm not into the horrors as much, but Silent Hill. So there is a Silent Hill 2 remake coming out. And this is another one of those we're going back into the series. So 1999 was Silent Hill. 2001 was Silent Hill 2. 2003 was Silent Hill 3. And then have they had any other Silent Hill remakes since then? But not, well, yeah. So Silent Hill remake.
No, I don't. There was another remake in there, but it was.
Yeah. A remake of 1, not a remake of 2. So this isn't a remake of a remake yet.
No, it isn't. It's not a remake of a remake. You're right. But it is a weird choice because I don't think there wasn't a remake of 1. There was another Silent Hill game. It had a long name, but
So they're not.
And then there's
remaking...
been other. Yeah, no. So I don't know why they're calling. I don't get I did not watch this whole video because it's long and they didn't grab my interest like some other, like the Aura ad did. I was kind of interested that the art director was the one that was upgrading the combat, which I thought was really interesting. I went off on a little thing in my mind about that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay. Well, here's a Reddit thread talking about it. Why no Silent Hill 1 remake? People are basically saying 2 was more interesting and more popular, so they're probably starting with 2, and then if that works, it's sort of like where they really hit the ground with success with the series, remake that, and then we'll go from there potentially is what people are speculating. So then they could go back and remake 1 and or 3. Yeah,
or maybe
this
take off
does look
from
like it
there.
would.
But maybe this just struck them as the best starting point for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But the way they talk about it, they do seem like they were really into it and wanted to make the best effort possible.
Yeah. And it's a beloved game and a beloved series. So
Yes.
it is a good, in fact, you can still, again, this has been decades old game. People still, when you go to cons, you see people dressed up as Silent Hill monsters and things like that all the time. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is coming out, and it will include, so this is going to be a big release that, again, is coming in. This one's coming in October, November. Yeah, this will be an October release. And they have released more information recently about zombie mode. So zombie mode for Call of Duty games has been a hit in the past. People have really liked that. They're going to do another zombie mode for this. And the thing that fascinated me about that discussion about the zombie mode coming for Call of Duty 6 is, and I think I have some videos of the review talking about the zombie mode. Crazy zombie mode coming. They're going to have an arachnophobia mode for it, though. What?
One of the comments, my favorite comment I read about that on a YouTube video about this was, "Well, I'm afraid of zombies. It's not going to be a no zombies mode."
Well, that's the thing. The game mode is filled with horror and zombies, and not just like regular zombies, but like amalgams of like 4 legs and flesh and teeth and pus and these flying things that vomit acid in your face. But there's one that looks kind of like a spider.
Well, it looks a lot like a spider, except for it looks like a spider with like a human head put on upside down.
It's like, yeah, it's like a classic head crab,
it
John
is
Carpenter's thing.
It is a scary thing, yeah.
It's a scary thing, but it's not like none of these other things are not scary. They're terrifying. But that one thing, because it also kind of looks like a spider, that is going to be you're going to be able to turn on arachnophobia mode and filter that one thing out of all of these other horrible things out of the game. Everything else, blood and guts and throw a grenade and body parts and punching zombies in the face and getting their brains splattered all over you. That's all cool.
But I mean, in fairness, if you have arachnophobia, it's not, the reaction you have is not, "Oh, that's gross." Like this, I'm looking at this, my reaction is, "Oh, that's gross. It's violent. It's gross." But if you do have it's different scale.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess.
And like I've said before, it's an easy thing to point at and say, "Okay, look at this accessibility thing we did."
Right. Yeah, we've had this discussion before. I mean, I would like see that tentacle thing. There's that tentacle thing, and that's a tool that you get to use. You set this tentacle trap.
Like,
are there really more people that are afraid of spiders than are afraid of like giant tentacles?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I have no idea, but
Sema says yes.
Maybe in the future they'll be like, on the settings page, there'll be like this whole list. Check off all the things that you don't want to see. I definitely could die happy without seeing another tentacle being in a game. I mean, tentacle monster in a game.
Look, there's a giant vomiting tentacle that shoots out of the water.
They don't scare me, but I really, in general, I do not like the tentacles in any game. And there's tentacles all over Star Wars, the Old Republic, and all over WoW. I still play both of those games, but still.
Right. Yeah. And, Yeah, I just think it's
Like if you
in a game like Grounded, especially because it's like a targeted at, all audiences kind of thing. Sure, definitely. I totally see it. I think
why,
it totally makes
yeah.
sense.
But
So,
I just feel like, for instance, if you're agoraphobic, it wouldn't be easy to put something in my game for that. If you're the opposite, claustrophobic, it wouldn't be easy to put something in my game for that. But this is just an easy target, I feel like.
but it almost just because of the genre and what's going on in the setting.
Yes, I get your
It
point.
almost feels to me like you're playing Subnautica and you have a thalassophobia mode that turns you into walking around in a meadow instead of a submarine underwater. It's like it's supposed to be scary and horrifying and terrifying.
Well, but not debilitatingly so.
I guess so. I guess so. I guess so. Yeah. Okay. Enough of that.
And I think if you had like that, the whatever it is for blood, you would already know this is not your game.
Right. Right. I almost think then
There's another one coming up though that's really good for blood.
why put it in the first place? They could have just made it an ant creature that pops out of the
Yes.
zombies.
Well, yes.
There's also that angle on it. Cuz
I
again,
totally
you're
see.
filled with horror. What are they replacing the spider? It's almost like did they put the spider in just so that they could have an arachnophobia mode as well? Because whatever they're replacing the spider with probably doesn't affect the gameplay. Why not just have it be that?
Well, my
And they don't
my
show you
take
in
on,
these trailers, but
my take on that is they did the spider because that'd be really cool, and then they got married to it, and then somebody said make a no, we don't want spider, and they're like, okay, we'll make a mode, and then we'll put in like my favorite speculations from a Reddit thread are clowns, because nobody's afraid of clowns, right?
because
Just make them
clowns.
more of the parasites that are already in there, or more zombies, or nothing, or just the word error.
Just one of those black and white default textured cubes
Right,
from,
like the green
from
cube.
Engine cubes.
Or
Like they
yeah,
they could
or
make it one of these things. See this thing where it's got like
yeah,
8 arms and 4 legs and 10 mouths all over it and it's oozing pus. Just make it one of those things because it's not a spider.
or a bear.
Bear
You
is
want
gonna make it a bear.
bear.
I
Yeah.
choose the bear. But see then, well, again, why not just not have it if it's that
But
big a
I
deal?
think the reason, not the reason, but I think
Yeah, but
the
maybe
fact
it was already done.
I think the fact that they're not showing us what it's going to be is like they're not ready to show it because
Maybe.
for whatever reason, and then
Because Satya Nadella got his hands on it, and he's the one at Microsoft. You're right. It's also how long have we created a conversation around this? So maybe it's another one of those things as well. I mean, let's do it because we can, and
yeah.
if it sparks conversation,
And I
that's
also want
not
to
a bad
say,
thing either.
just not on the spider thing, but the zombies mode in Call of Duty definitely looks like how uprisings are supposed to be like fast and more fun because it's just all trash.
Yeah. Yeah, the uprising modes
Uprisings,
in Star
yeah,
Wars: The Old Republic.
yeah.
Yeah, more of a horde mode. You're right. But then what you got to do to make a horde mode really fun is give you extra abilities that allow you to like mow down, 50
Mhm.
enemies in one hit, which is the sort of the flaw in that kind of horde mode approach in Star Wars: The Old Republic, because they'll throw these hordes of, a little bit less powerful enemies at you,
Yeah.
but they're still the same enemies that are everywhere else, and it takes you just as long to kill them
And
as it does anywhere else.
they do give you special abilities, but they should really ratchet that up.
Yeah, yeah, and like allow you to pick one up and have it sort of be infinite, not just like a one-shot grenade.
Yeah. I mean, if
That
it
could
was
really be
if
fun. Now
those
you're getting it.
yeah, if those things were stupid powerful and there was a lot of them,
Yeah,
I'd play the hell out of
one
Uprisings,
person
man.
can pick up the flamethrower, and one person can pick up, unlimited supply of, thermal detonators, and then throw 50 henchmen at us, and we just get to like mow them all down in one blast, and then another 50, and we do it again. You're right. And maybe that's kind of what they were going for, but they just couldn't get all the way there with the tools at their disposal at the time.
Yeah.
Cool. Good redesign, though. That's some good notes for Broadsword.
When we do our remake of Uprisings 2025.
You mean the remake of the remake of,
Yeah.
of the Uprisings? Exactly. The 2025 remake of the 2021 remaster of the 2019 release of Uprisings.
Yes.
How about this one? I think you know a little bit more about this than even I do at this point. What is the deal with Empire of the Ants? Because the trailer is like a David Attenborough nature documentary, which I love.
To start out with, yeah. So that got my interest too, and so I was reading about this game, and it's based on a novel by a French sci-fi author named Bernard Werber. It's set in the near future, and the book does have like a story that goes on in the human world and a story that goes on in the ant world. But one of the things that the book does is you learn by reading the ant world part how disconnected, because it also shows you like the observations that humans make of the ant world, and you see how simplistic and wrong they are, which I think is an interesting take.
Interesting.
But this is not the first game ever made that was based on this book. There was another one in 2000. No, there was another one at some point where that was also based on this game. This book. And this particular author, I think this book, or this series of books, I think there's 2 or 3 of them, were the only ones of his that got translated into English. But this book, Empire of Ants, was very popular and got translated into like 30 languages.
It looks fascinating. It's like a hyper realistic ant colony simulator, micro and macro simulation, with like being able to build up the colony and send out missions, and so almost like a colony, town simulator, colony simulator.
And you have to battle other colonies of bugs and stuff. And I thought that was kind of brilliant too, because that has baked into it the they're all bad reasoning. Like you can't really feel bad about, waging army on what, I don't know what these red bugs are, stink bugs or whatever they are. It's sort of like, I feel bad when Republic soldiers have to go kill Imperial soldiers, but not so bad when it's bugs killing other bugs.
Right. Because that's just circle of life, my friend.
Yeah. And right.
That's just nature doing its thing.
But I think as a city builder, it's probably a fascinating game.
Amazing. Yeah. And the use of Unreal just makes it that much better as well. You can tell they're using nanite for the ground textures. You can tell they're taking full advantage of the engine, Lumen for lighting. So you got all of that going for you as well. You get to really sort of, it's a place where the hyper-realism works really well, because you don't run into that uncanny valley with any like humans. It's just, you can just revel in the hyper-realism that we can get to these days. And it just continues to look like a close-up nature documentary, which is cool. Empire of the Ants is that one, and it's a French studio.
It is fiction, though. It is fiction. I'm just gonna put that out there.
What? You mean they didn't film actual ants
riding on snails and commanding their armies?
Tell me at least they hired ants to do the mocap. The ant union is going to rise up because they're getting put out of work. At least, did they have ant voice actors? They didn't use AI, did they? Because we hate AI, don't we? I don't hate AI. Another big one that as we get into talking about what's going to end up on the candidate list for Game of the Year type stuff, this is the kind of thing I would expect to be in that kind of list. We'll see what happens by the end of the year, but Assassin's Creed Shadows that is coming out in November as well, I believe. I think it's set up for a November release. Yep. Uh, it looks amazing. We'll see how it comes out. There's a little of the like clickbaity headlines about the one of the main characters. Why is it Japan? But this character doesn't look Japanese enough. Blah blah blah.
So,
These are beloved games though, and Assassin's Creed tends to do really well anytime it comes out with a game. So
and this is another one that was just when he does get around to fighting, it is super super brutal.
yeah,
Like he waves that thing around and he just goes right through people's heads and it's crazy.
so there's some Assassin's Creed gameplay that's stealthy, and this game has it too. In fact, there's two
Yeah.
kind of main characters, very different
Another
styles.
female
It's like
protagonist.
it's the silent blade and very almost non-violent. It's the knife in the kidneys, silent blade, quick kill, escape, vanish in a cloud of smoke kind of thing. And then there's this guy who's a giant samurai with a big spiked baseball bat and two samurai swords. Oh, he's petting the dog.
You have to pet the dog.
So I found this social media feed on Threads, and I think it's called like Pet the Dogs or We Pet the Dogs or something like that. And it finds all of the scenes and all of the ways that any video game has it so you can pet the dog. That I'm sure is going to show up on their feed, and they're going to have a clip of it. You can pet the dog.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But yeah, that was a full-on kneel down, get your hands on the dog, get to where he's fighting. Where's the clip in here where he's actually like fighting, doing some. This is the stealthy stealth.
The other thing about that gets me, and maybe I just wasn't watching carefully, is he walks in, he's a stranger. One person tells him, "Oh, this other samurai is bad," and he's like, "Okay, I'll go kill them."
I didn't.
And everyone who works for him. Oh, look, he chopped his head off. It spurted.
But did you see how they did it? And I backed up a little bit as to go through more of the fight, because see the mechanics in the gameplay. But they switched to the black and white. I love that. That's like a cinematic technique. Switch to the black and white and get all that blood spray. That reminds me of. It's a Japanese film technique, and then Quentin Tarantino used it in Kill Bill Part 1 when Beatrice fights the Crazy 88. Did the same thing, switched everything to black and white, and then the blood just like fountains out every time she'd cut somebody's arm off and that kind of thing. It was another example of it. Anyway, I'm sure this is going to be big. We'll see.
You say black and white, but it's black and white and red.
Black and white and red all over, just like a newspaper.
Okay, Dad.
I just realized nobody's going to understand that joke. Gen Z would have no idea what you mean because they've never held a newspaper in their hands.
Plus, and that joke has not survived.
Right. Yeah, wow, that's weird. How do you like this next one? Which, speaking of weird, I thought when I heard about it and I saw the headline that it sounded like a great idea for a game. And I was surprised they didn't do it sooner. It's Funko Fusion. So Funko Pops, everybody's seen them. They're the cute little, let's take some popular IP and make a little plastic bobblehead kind of looking thing. They don't actually bobble, but bobblehead, I think they have bobbleheads also. But big head, small body, make like little fun characters. And this doesn't have the trademarked IP versions of things in it. It seems like they've left all of those out, but they just have little Funko people and little Funko villains. But it's surprisingly violent.
Yeah.
And brutal. And then they did have a He-Man. It's weird what they have in here and what they don't. I don't know what they're doing with this. I don't know what this is supposed to be. It seemed like a good idea to me, but then it's also seemed like needlessly over the top violent with like blood and guts and dismemberment and decapitations.
But like
going on.
plastic blood and plastic flame. I mean, but it's, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Sure,
it's bad.
it's no, it's not okay. But at the end, then they named off a bunch of IP. So I guess is that going to be in there then? Those logos?
I
They only
mean, yeah.
showed like one thing
Well, I don't know if
in
it's
the
going to be the
trailer.
logo,
They
but like
showed.
the very first thing they show is a dinosaur
I guess so.
from
They guess
Jurassic.
that's Jurassic Park, and I guess this is Umbrella Academy. I wasn't even watching. That's an Umbrella Academy
Yeah.
takeoff. There's Jurassic Park things, I guess. Maybe that's Winter Soldier. Maybe there are more of these that I'm just not getting the reference. Maybe these are all
Yeah.
other IP that they're using. But
But
there,
now, are there going to be Funkos of these Funkos? And have like
Meta
their
Funkos.
their heads will be twice as big and their bodies will be twice as small because they've been Funkoized.
Good point. But why did they have to make it so violent? Well, I guess Funkos is an adult thing. Yes, it's plastic violence, but it's really violent.
I didn't mean that, and I didn't mean it
You were being
to be saying.
sarcastic.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't being sarcastic. I was saying that they even went to the trouble of making the gory parts look like toys, but it's just as gory.
Right.
Yeah, it's just as violent.
Decapitated
think it
heads with splatters of blood all over it. I mean, you
Yeah.
do you with whatever style of game you want to make, but I'm not going to let my 6-year-old play this game. There'd be up all night with nightmares, and that I would think that 6-year-olds would be a key market of Funkos, but maybe not. Forster, I have watched Tom and Jerry. This is Itchy and Scratchy. This is not Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry, yes, Tom hits Jerry. Jerry hits Tom with a big hammer, and he gets a big welt on his head. He doesn't get decapitated and spray blood all over the place. That was the joke. That was the Simpsons joke of the design of Itchy and Scratchy, was like taking that to the ultimate end limit, and why that would be horrifying. They've just said, well, we want our game to be that way. We want the Itchy and Scratchy version of the world. So this is another amazing game, this next one. And let's get into this, because we were talking about this in the pre-show and we sort of went too far. And I'm going to have to queue up that other version of the video of this that you found or discovered or somebody mentioned in the chat room.
Yeah, it wasn't me, but yeah.
Microsoft Flight Simulator. Always and forever. Back when I was first, it was always cutting edge simulation way back to the 80s. And obviously it's come a long way. It was always a best in class, best of the best of a simulator. Continues to be that. They've done a whole bunch of things. In the very beginning, again, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater with AI. This is an ideal use of AI. So what they're doing here is they take satellite data and satellite images, which they've been using for a while in Flight Simulator, and now they can use AI tools to upscale that and create graphic assets of the entire planet. So if you want to go fly over the Grand Canyon, yes, they could have modeled just the Grand Canyon, but now you can fly anywhere. You can fly anywhere, and they can use satellite data to upscale with AI models and upscale the world so you can fly anywhere. So that part of it is great. The simulation continues to be best in class. You get people that are training to be pilots that will spend time in Flight Simulator just to get some of the basics of how some of the instrumentation works, and it's a useful
They
tool for that.
literally could not have made this more beautiful. It's like the limit of beauty. I mean, it's max beauty.
Yes, it is. Max beauty. I concur. But then, which I know they've been doing some of this and expanding what they're doing this, and maybe this is all in the current version, but what they've also done is said, okay, the fantasy of becoming a pilot. You want the simulator for what it would actually feel like to be a pilot. We can do that. Now, say you were a pilot. Say you've been there, done that. You've got your pilot's license. What would you do? Alternate life, alternate reality. You're a pilot. what kind of pilot would you want to be? Would you want to fly commercial airlines? Okay, you can do that. Would you want to fly a more experimental helicopter doing crop dusting, advanced crop dusting? All right, you can do that now. Do you want to be a rescue chopper? You want to fly a rescue chopper and rescue people off a sinking ship? Okay, you can do that. Private jet, rescue jet into the Australian the Australian outback, or was it Alaska? Skyrider, this VIP charter service. They just keep one after another. Almost anything you can think of where you would actually use a professional pilot in the real world. It seems like they're offering the opportunity for you to do a simulation of that. Now, the chat room has started throwing a couple other things out. Is X-Wing one of them? Are you joking me?
Someone in Stask in the chat room said X-Wing. That's what Max is reacting to.
So, because in the pre-show, someone already threw out to us Microsoft Flight Simulator Dune. Oh, wait, go back, get the gameplay one. So they have the Dune expansion where you can fly an ornithopter. And they've got instrumentation, and you can fly it in third-person view, but still see a heads-up view of all the instrumentation. So it's still a simulator, and then you get to fly the simulator of the ornithopter where you're doing a rescue mission and chasing out ahead of an incoming sandstorm and rescuing someone in the desert of Arrakis. All right. Now you've just blown my mind with this. So that's just crazy. And this just looks still looks so good. We're getting a game called Dune Awakening, which will be open world survival game, multiplayer open world survival game. You'll get to build and fly your own ornithopters in there. I would bet that this, as a simulation, getting the feel of what it's actually like, the simulation wise to fly a craft like this, I bet they've done a pretty good job, and it's probably going to be controls and simulation wise better, but it's a different thing. This is the kind of thing you want to play with, a game, quote unquote game you want to play with if you want this simulation. If you want a game, there's different things that you do to implement a game, and that's where Dune Awakenings is going to be really cool too. Sir Galahad says, but is this realistic? The Dune one. Yeah, you're right. We don't know. And we won't know until we actually get to Arrakis someday as a civilization. So that is all of the games that have a release date schedule. There are, I think we've got 4 others here that are listed for 2025, but don't have a release date yet. There is one of them, yes. So Dragon Age. Dragon Age, the Veilguard, is going to be another contender for Game of the Year that is going to be coming out. And I just saw an announcement today that says the release date will be announced tomorrow. So this is Wednesday that we're recording, Wednesday the 14th of August. The release date, we should find out what it is tomorrow. And hopefully it's still 2024 because that's what they promised. I didn't hear that it was delayed at all, so I would still expect it's 2024. I'll probably play this. It just looks great. It just looks like a good game. A lot of fun, a lot of interesting mechanics around how the companions work. That'll be fun to experiment. I don't know if I'll end up playing like completely all the way through the campaign. Like I didn't finish Baldur's Gate 3. I liked what I played, but I wasn't into it enough to play to the end of Act 3. But I got into like the middle of Act 2. So, same thing with this one. We'll see how far I will get, but I definitely will play it because it looks really, really cool.
It does look cool, and like I'm a sucker for this kind of a trailer where they introduce each character with their sobriquet, Yeah.
It's It's
And then
that
we need a leader, and the leader is you.
it's that Ocean's 11 putting a team together, heist movie
Yeah.
style, intro. You think we need somebody? Yeah, I think we need somebody, blah, blah, blah. Well, what are we going to do about blah, blah, blah? Well, but where are we going to
I
find?
I know a guy.
I know a guy. You son of a bitch. I'm in. So that's going to be us. They're gonna see us in action, and they're gonna go, we got a job for you, you son of a bitch. I'm in. Can't wait. That's gonna be a good one. And I think I would probably estimate a top contender, probably in top 5 game of the year, just from what we've seen so far, the hype, and what we expect from the quality of the kind of product that comes out in this line. I think it's going to be up there. Another one I think that will probably be underrated when it comes out and passed over, just because it's the kind of thing that does get underrated, is the Indiana Jones game that's coming out. So it's another Microsoft published game, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It's a very play the movie kind of game. So the gameplay is probably not going to hold up to the best of the best kind of gameplay, I would bet. I think it might be perfectly fine and good. But this is where you get a lot of the games like the Avatar game from Ubisoft. Where you get the games where people keep downgrading it because it's not the best of the best it's not the best of the best shooter. Boy, the weapon mechanics, the reload time on the Navi bow just doesn't hold up to, what I can get out of Call of Duty. It's not that kind of game. So they have a point. The gameplay might not be the best of the best of a combat, but it's still good, and it's a different game. You're playing a movie, or you're playing an adventure, or you want to live in the Navi world. In here, everything I've seen in the trailers and the gameplay and the demos so far, it totally feels like you would get to play another good Indiana Jones movie. And we've had some not good Indiana Jones movies in recent history. This looks like a good one. It looks like a really great callback to Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I have to say, when I was looking at this trailer, I was thinking, a part of me started to think, I would rather see this as a movie. But then I realized if they tried to make this as a movie, they probably would mess it up. So it's probably better as the
Right.
game.
Right. For one, and for two, depending on how the gameplay works, if you could make it super easy story mode where you could get through the gameplay parts, like here, you're punching the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you just wanted to experience the cinematic first person view of this quote unquote movie, if they could make those parts light enough and paper thin enough that you could just sort of get through it and just stay in the moment of the movie part of it, maybe that would be a really cool experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't know if they can do it enough. Make it paper thin enough.
I was just flabbergasted too by the guy doing Harrison Ford's voice. I just said, I had to Google it because I thought, wait, did Harrison Ford do this? Because I thought, oh, that would be cool of him. But no, he didn't. It's a voice actor named Troy Baker who's famous in his own right. But he's just fantastic in this.
Yeah, Troy's good. So this will be an interesting one to watch. Again, I think it'll be underrated when it comes out because it's just that kind of thing. It came out on the Xbox Dev Direct, so we may get to play this on Game Pass day one as well. Sema.
I hope so.
Dragon Age, there's speculation that it could end up on Game Pass day one, but they have not announced it, so it may not. Because that might be another one that we could get there. Another one that's in one of those slated for this year, but not a specific release date yet, that we've seen a couple trailers on so far, is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. So, Snake Plissken of Metal Gear Solid we've seen some of the trailers. It looks like a good version of a Metal Gear Solid game. They've gone a step further into realism. I don't think it detracts, even though they've tried to even take a step further towards, sort of like almost Unreal Engine hyper realism. It doesn't look very Uncanny Valley-ish to me for the
No,
parts
it
that
it,
you're doing.
it
looks pretty
doesn't.
good.
No, it looks pretty good. Yeah.
It looks pretty good. So we'll be back here with Snake Plissken to do some more Metal Gear Solid by the end
Do
of
they
the year
make
as well.
do you have to actually eat snakes if you play this
He
game?
is a snake eater, so yeah, I think you do need to eat the snakes. Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
I wish there was a not snake eating mode.
A snakeophobia mode, and
Specifically a snake eating phobia.
and it's all just like hot dogs, and then you can just eat the hot dogs.
Oh my gosh, I love hot dogs. Yes.
Like there's a hot dog that jumps out of the tree and attacks you, and you stab the
Or
hot dog,
really,
and then
it's
you eat the hot dog.
or if it's pepperoni pizzas, then I would really be happy.
Pepperoni pizzas, all spiders replaced with pepperoni pizzas. You're right. That would work. The last one on the list, again, a smaller title, and in fact, I probably would have left it off. It's not. I don't think it's going to be a game of the year contender, but a really good. Anytime they make a Lego game,
Anything.
it tends to be really good. Lego does a good job with that kind of being careful, and then I think supporting the people that are doing the products based on their IP. But this is a combination of two underrated game series. It's Lego and it's Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West. It's Horizon. So it's Aloy. It's a Lego Aloy, and it's a Lego Horizon game. So you get to play as Aloy, a Lego Aloy, and you get to run around and you get to fight Lego versions of the Horizon robotic dinosaurs.
Yeah.
There's just so much to this that this is a game that you could have your kids it's sort of like kids play, any age kind of kids play, because it's even when it's cartoon violence, because you're fighting the dinos, they explode into Lego pieces. Because when you play with Legos in real world and they take them apart, it's just more Legos coming into Lego pieces. So I think this is a great way for kids games and all ages. It's great for adults as well, but a great platform to make kids games in, and an example that Funko Pop is not taking on of having the kind of cartoon violence that you could have as sort of like an all ages game.
Maybe they were trying to differentiate from Lego.
Maybe by alienating a core audience. Sure. Why don't they put some porn in it?
Funko porn.
Funko porn. Wait a minute. That give us a call.
Maybe that exists.
Max and Sema Consulting Group has got your next target. We know
Google
you're trying to differentiate.
Probably out there.
Might as well go all the way. Funko porn. Rule 39 or whatever it is. I bet it exists out there somewhere already. I like Aloy. I like Horizon. Again, this is another underrated series because the combat, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's really, really good games.
Yeah.
Really well done. And very AAA quality product, all of the Horizon games. One game that was supposed to be on the list that I was also excited about, and I figured I would just throw in just to wrap us up, is Avowed. Avowed was supposed to come out this year, and it will not. It was just announced this past week that it has been delayed till 2025. It's in a weird space. I don't know how good it's going to be. It looks interesting and fun, but it's kind of like first-person shooter, but with magic is kind of the feel that I get from it. It's one of those kinds of games, medieval, sword and sorcery, that kind of thing too. It's a adventure game, but it's sort of like, it kind of feels like that first-person shooter, but with like magic and swords and shields and that kind of thing. The magic system looked pretty interesting. That's another thing I kind of liked about it. I just don't know if it's going to hold up as well as it's going to need to really wow the genre, for one, and for two, I don't know for what was I going to say? Oh, the the thing I thought that was really interesting about it was the excuse for delaying it. And the excuse for delaying it is they wanted to give players more time to play the really good games that are coming out this year. And
Yet, they're thinking about us. They want us to be able to get through our backlog.
yeah, which on one hand sounds like an excuse, but on the other hand, it's coming from Microsoft as the publisher, Microsoft and Obsidian, because they own Obsidian now. So they are coming at this also from the perspective of the game release catalog coming to Xbox and Game Pass.
Right.
So in some ways, it could be very genuine. We've looked at our release schedule of the stuff that we've got out. We want some more breathing room. We want Game Pass to continue to be successful. And
yes. I mean, but that doesn't make it genuine, right? The reason of we want you to get caught up, well, I guess in the sense that we want you to have some available free time so you can play our game.
Right.
Right.
It made me think of the way movies are scheduled. And
Yeah.
a movie
right.
theater might have a game done and not release it for 2 years because of their release cycle, and they want to put it out at the right time.
Right. They don't want it to go out against this or against that,
Yep.
so they do it a different weekend.
All
Yeah.
of those kind of things. Because, I mean, games are bigger, AAA games are bigger than the movie industry these days. It makes sense to me that those kinds of decisions should be coming into play, and they could take a property and delay it for 6 months or a year. And because the technology isn't changing as much as it used to be, it would be okay to hold on to that until a more appropriate space in the release cycle, when you're coming at it from the production studio level, which I thought was interesting.
I know, because we're kind of used to rush, get the game out as soon as you can,
Mm-hmm.
instead of applying some kind of thought principle to it.
All right. Well, that was quite a bit. And I think we are good for our rundown of what's coming this year of the big rocks. If I missed anything, let me know, and or let Sema know. But and she can tell me how terrible of a job I did. But I think that's looking pretty good. It looks like an exciting second half of the year.
I think you're right.
As we wrap it up, Sema, why don't you tell us one thing, because we're out of time. Tell me one thing you're going to be doing this week that you're excited about in gaming. What's your plan?
Well, probably going to be getting back to leveling Bessie in Star Wars: The Old Republic, because I haven't done that for the last 2 weeks for other gaming reasons. So,
and we were reminded in the chat room, Tuesday is when 7.5.1 is coming in Star Wars: The Old Republic. And
That's
as
right.
part of that next season, there's a Bessie
Twitch.
skin. That's
And
gonna be on
there's
track.
Twitch drops. Is that come with this or with the next one?
I think that goes live next week. Then.
Yeah, I do too.
It should be. So keep an eye on. Sometimes we do a SWTOR stream on Thursday nights with our little game group that we've got. We'll turn on drops if that is the case, and we do one of those. Forster, we did leave out. That's a good reminder. We did also leave out, and I think I was going to do a separate.
Yeah.
This is a good separate topic of expansions, DLC, like DLC type stuff, because there's a few more of those. Starfield DLC is coming out. A couple of our favorite MMOs have smaller updates that are coming out. I've sort of left those out of sort of the big title launch calendar. We'll do a full episode about the kind of things that will be coming as sort of the DLC things that we're looking for. Okay, thank you, everyone. As always, all the feed and subscribe links are on newoverlords.com, and our video is up on YouTube/newoverlords. Thank you to the chat room who's been with us the whole show today, dropping comments in. making us look smart because we are saying things that actually they're saying because we had the wrong things in our notes. So thanks for that kind of thing. If you want to come chat with us on our Discord, you can find that at newoverlords.com/Discord. You can also follow us on all of the social networks while they last, and we'll keep you up to date there too. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.